All right, and welcome back to another episode of Seminoles Sidelines 365.
Go
We are
Noles!
we are back on a Wednesday, and a lot of great things going on. The NCAA tournament for both men's and women's is tipping off, I should say. The men's, as we all know, is not nowhere to be seen for the tournament this year, but we do have a lot of women's hoops to talk about for the Lady Noles, which is we're exciting to talk about. But before we get started tonight, how's it going? How's it going, Bruce? How's the
Hey,
week
it's
going?
going pretty good. It's good to see you back, KB. MIA. People were asking questions.
Well, I'm back. I come back for the interesting show.
No, everything's good. Everything's good. Guess where I'm going this weekend?
Where are you going?
Atlanta, baby. NASCAR Cup races, the big boys. Sunday in Atlanta. See me on TV.
Maybe you'll go give us a live stream for the Seminole Sidelines 365.
Yeah, maybe I can. That'll be cool. I'm really looking forward to that. Driving up Saturday, going to the race on Sunday, and hopefully, like NASCAR, hopefully the weather will be good. It looks good. I mean, it looks like the best day of several days there, because if it rains and they postpone, and then you got to go the next day, and blah 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 blah. So it's good. It's good to see you back, KB, in the booth.
Good to be back. And so we're happy to be here. A lot to talk about today. Hopefully we'll have some great content to cover and some other little breaking news stories that we may cover as we go through here. I want to get you updated on everything going on with Lady Hoops, because sometimes they don't get the coverage they deserve, especially across the major sites here. So we'll go through that. But before we want to get started, we do have a new show sponsor to shout out. And that show sponsor is Coasties on the Move. Check it out in the banner on the video. Coasties on the Move, if you're not aware, is a website that makes it available, that really helps military families relocate. So as you know, military families move all the time, 3 to 4 years. Bruce, you're a military member. You know what they go through with this. And sometimes it's hard when you have to get up and leave pretty quickly. It can be hard to make that transition. But this network sets up military families to basically buy, sell, and rent through other military families. So it's a great organization. We're glad to have them as a sponsor of the show. We put the link in the video banner. We'll also have a link in the video description as well. So if you're in the military, have friends in the military, check it out and tell them that Seminole Sideline 365 sent you, and maybe you'll get a discount. We'll have to see about that. But thanks again for sponsoring the show. And let's get right into it then. Bruce, what do you have for us?
Yeah, first thing, my salute to Coasties on the Move. As a veteran myself, it's important because a lot of times those orders come down quick, and you've got to move. Sometimes the military member moves before the family and is left behind, and they have to do everything. But I know the Coasties on the Move will take care of you for sure, and so give them a shout out, and they will take care of you. And that's for not just it's all branches of services that I'm aware of. So,
all right, let's get right into it then.
Okay. You kind of led us into it, KB, and that is the women's sports throughout the country don't really get the recognition that they should. Now, we said when we started this program, that we would do our best to bring some equality to that. Now, obviously, the discussion is always about, well, the women's sports, they're not the big money sports, like football, men's basketball. Okay. You know what? And even the women's sports coaches will acknowledge that. Mm-hmm. But what we should acknowledge, because I have 4 granddaughters, okay, and they're all involved in some level of sports, is that they work, and this is what the women's coaches, and I totally 100% agree, they work hard as or harder than the men do at their sports. So there's not like this, it's some kind of a social recreational league. It's not like that at all. So let's make that clear out of the box. Mm-hmm. Now, the first thing we want to point out is a salute and a hoorah out to the women's basketball team. Good job, ladies. Good job. You made it to the dance. You made it to March Madness. And we'll talk about how you got there, but congratulations. That's number one. Number two, Coach Sue Seminoles. Coach Sue Seminoles. If you don't know her name, then you're not familiar with women's basketball. Okay, now, KB, I know you're familiar with her name, but there may be fans out here because we're doing this from the fan perspective. If you've never been to one of the ladies' games and you don't know who Coach Sue is, then you're missing something. First of all, she's been at Florida State 25 seasons. Mm-hmm. Okay, she's Bobby Bowden-like. She took one season off, bless her heart, to take care of her sick mom. Mm-hmm. She made a very difficult decision to walk away for a season to take care of her sick mom. Mm-hmm. And you know what? That's class. This lady really never has any issues in her program. None that I remember. Mm-hmm. Now, if there's a fan out there want to correct me, they want to tell me I'm wrong on some of these numbers, fine, bring it. You know, I'm man enough to take it. 25 seasons, 450 plus wins, 450 plus wins. That's a lot of wins in Division I, Power 5 basketball, ACC. Okay, plus throughout her career. Mm-hmm. She has taken the Noles women's team to 17 March Madness, 17 NCAA tournament berths. This is her ninth straight. Mm-hmm. Now that alone tells you we have one of the top coaches in this country. And she deserves to be compensated along that line. Now, she has currently got her team as the 11th seed in the Spokane region. Now, one of the things, I don't want to get too much into detail on this, they're in what they call the first four play-in, basically. This is an expansion of the tournament for the women. They went from 64 teams to 68 teams. The ladies get in this 4 extra teams that were added in this play-in. Now, this game is tomorrow night at 9:00 on ESPN2. And I'll say that again before we're done. She gets them into this tournament because they didn't have a common Coach Sue, I call it Coach Sue like I call Coach Mike, Coach Sue type season. It was very inconsistent at times. They finished 17-3 and 13 overall on the year. They were like 5-1 up front, 4-1 up front. You know, when they had some out of conference teams they were playing, they were 10-8 in the conference. In the last 10 games, they were 7-3. Now that 7-3, no doubt, got them in to the first 4 in this conference because they didn't have a great showing in the ACC tournament. Mm-hmm. They won their first game. The second game, they got blown out basically by almost 30 points by NC State, who's ranked very high. They're like number 3 in the country. Mm-hmm. All right. But so they kind of limped in. You could say they came in through the back door. We're not going to sugarcoat it, but they're there. Bottom line is they're there, baby. They're there. And we need to support them. And I hope that all Nole fans are going to support them. Let's show up on the social media sites supporting them. Let's watch the game and let's pay attention to what's going on there. Now, they got in because the way the tournament selectors look at it is how many different tiers. They have like 3 tiers of wins and losses. So you could have a tier 1 win, but if you have a tier 3 loss, that can wipe out that tier 1, that top win. So their inconsistency happened up front. All right. Once they hit the conference games, they really struggled at times. I'm going over a few of my notes here. The first 6 big opponents that they faced after the non-conference start, they were like 4-5-1 starting. The first 6 big opponents they basically lost to: BYU, Purdue, Florida, Houston, Virginia Tech, and Wake Forest. And so from right then, they were struggling.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the question is, why were they struggling? Because this is basically a senior-led team. You know, it wasn't a rebuild season. I think it even shocked Coach Sue that they were very inconsistent. But again, I don't think it was coaching at all. I think the girls, the ladies, I should say, the ladies just couldn't get the ball in the basket. I mean, it was that simple. And some of the losses were not close. So that's a little concerning. Now, they did in that stretch of losses, they even had 2 cancellations against Syracuse and Clemson. But they basically handled Clemson pretty well during the season itself. I think you've got the schedule up there and the wins and losses.
Yeah.
I can't say that the losses, like I say, were that close at times. Now, they did beat a couple of good teams along the way. In this and one during this last stretch run, I think they beat Notre Dame, who was ranked number 20, and they beat a pretty good Georgia Tech team who was number 22, who both made the final for the big dance here. So they're both in it.
And I think what's getting them in, like you said, to your point, and thank you, Jody, for the comment there. Go Lady Noles. Is that, like you said, the ACC is considered a power conference in women's basketball, whereas in the men's side, it's not really considered a power conference this year. It's a down year. And as you can see there, they played 1, 2, 3, 4. They had 5, 6, 7 ranked games in that back half of their schedule, and an overtime win against Georgia Tech helps. That 5-point win against Notre Dame helps. And that helps down the stretch. Now, they did get blown out by some other ranked opponents, North Carolina, NC State, Louisville. But having enough stacked ranked to wins down the stretch helped them. And then overall having a winning record in the ACC did give them the chance to play in this play-in game on Thursday night. And that's really what saved them, I think, overall, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think the inconsistency was shocking to everybody, including the team. I think it shocked the coaches. I think it shocked the ladies themselves. They couldn't pull it together for whatever reason. But I don't see it as a coaching issue. I don't think that's an issue at all. I just think sometimes the ball doesn't go in the basket for you. But
even just look at this right here. In 4 games, you had 4 different leading scorers. And that can be, that shows balance, but then it also shows some inconsistency where you don't know where your points are going to come from on any given night. So, that's something that can help you in the tournament where you can have, if some person, a player is not being hot, you can lean on another player. But, this just shows you in the last 4 games, you had 4 different people leading in categories and rebounding and points per game. So that's just something to look at to see if they can get more consistency there. And like you said, in scoring and have less of these imbalanced scores, going against ranked opponents, because, the team that they're playing against, I don't want to jump ahead. If are you done? Because Missouri, who they're playing now?
No, I'm going to talk about that.
Tough. They're a tough opponent.
Yeah. Well, I think you're right in what you're saying there. When you start breaking down the numbers, you really look at stats, which from the fan perspective, most of the fans don't do that. Mm-hmm. But when you get into the numbers, you see inconsistency of who's scoring. You don't have one big star on the team. I don't think there's one breakout. I'm going to talk about some of the ladies here in a second. But one of the things when you look at any level of sports, I don't care if it's pro, college, high school, whatever, but mainly is you look at home and away. When you look at home away, you can pretty much tell how a team is. In this case, at home, the ladies were 11-4. Mm-hmm. They were 11-4. So they were really solid on the home court. Mm-hmm. When they go on the road, they're 5-6. But if you're at 500 on the road, I think that's good for most teams. If you look at almost any sport, I don't care if it's NBA, hockey, baseball, whatever, look at the away record of a team. It will tell you where that team is and what they're having for the year, because you got to win on the road. So they were below 500 there. And in a neutral site, they were 1-3. Mm-hmm. So you're looking at 6-9 away from home, which tells you they're going to be inconsistent. They're going to be inconsistent. And luckily, they were solid at home, and that helped them to get to the March Madness here. I think that's important to point that out. Now, let me talk about, you talked about how the ladies were a little inconsistent, and I agree with that. Here's what's going to happen tomorrow night against Missouri State. Missouri State was number 2 in the Missouri Valley Conference. They were number 2. Mm-hmm. I don't think, personally, and you can argue this, I don't think they played as tough a schedule as the Noles did. I don't think they played as tough a schedule.
No, I don't think anyone's going to
week by week
debate that.
So they did have some quality wins, but nothing. They didn't have the tough schedule that the Noles had, and I think that is in the Noles' favor when they take the court, which is a neutral. It's going to be a neutral court, so I think that's in our favor. And
I think there'll be more Missouri. Well, yeah, it's in Spokane, so I don't think either
it's in Spokane.
Going to have a ton of fans there. But yeah,
no, but it's a neutral court.
Yeah,
it's a neutral court. We still have a very experienced team taking the court, and a lot of the ladies have played a number of minutes, so they can go about 8-9 deep for sure. Mm-hmm. And that's important. Now, here are the keys to the game, in my opinion, for Florida State to win. Morgan Jones, she's a senior guard. Morgan Jones has to have a big game, has to have one of her better games of the season. Morgan Jones, she averages 26 minutes this season, 6 rebounds, 14 points, and 32 steals. Mm-hmm. Those are pretty good numbers. That's pretty solid. She has to be a leader.
She's the do-it-all. She's the do-it-all. Yeah, okay. She's by far the superstar on this team.
Yeah, she can't get in early foul trouble. So if I'm Missouri State, I try to get her in foul trouble with some ticky-tack fouls. If she's trying to steal the ball, she's got to be careful. If she has to sit down and can't play at least 26 minutes, we're going to be in trouble. Mm-hmm. We're going to be in trouble. So that's number 1. Senior guard Morgan Jones. Morgan, if you're listening, we need you on the court, not on the bench. Watch what you're stealing, okay? Number two, we have a freshman guard, O'Mara Gordon. O'Mara Gordon also has to have a good game. She's averaging 20 minutes a game, 2 rebounds, 7 points. If she could push that to 9 points, 10 points, even hitting some free, foul shots. If she could get 9-10 points, she has 19 steals, that's going to be good because we need her also on the court.
Yeah, I think that's the difference here is that this is a team that goes 10, almost 11 deep. And you don't see many teams built like that, especially in the men's game. But I think it's even sort of unique in the women's game is that you have almost 10 people that play 20 plus minutes a game. When you look at the roster, so you have to get consistency. Morgan's going to do Morgan. She's 2x the leading scorer on this team. But it's these other who's going to be the player on this bench, whether it's Gordon or it's Bianca Jackson. These players have to take a step forward in order for them to get past this kind of average level season. One of these players in the tournament has to go off and match her production because I don't think a team going 10 deep of 5 players, 6 players averaging 5 points a game is going to win the tournament. I think one of those players has to match Morgan's production in order to hit that next level in the tournament and make a run at it.
I agree. I think Coach Sue is going to have to do this. Maybe go 8-9 deep. And if somebody's not being productive, not having a good game, she'll know. She knows. Then you can go into the bench again. But Bianca Jackson, you talked about, redshirt senior, another lady who plays out front. She needs to have a decent game. She averages 7 points, 21 minutes. She's going to be on the court a lot. So she's going to have to keep that average for sure. Now, one of the other players we need to step up is Myers, Valencia Myers. She's a senior forward. She's got to get her share of rebounds because this team has no real down low presence. That's what I see as the problem with this team, that they don't have a truly gifted 3-point shooter. I mean, their average is in the high 40s, it's well below 500 on 3-point shots, which is okay, but there's no consistency there. You're not going to win this game there. You're going to have to win this down closer to the basket. So Miss Myers has got to step up. And then there's one more player, a junior guard, I think, who can make a difference. She averages 6 points a game. Like to see that go up a little bit for this game, and that's Sammy Poulis. Sammy Pousis. I think she needs to have a good game as well. So those are my top 5 keys of the ladies who need to stay on the floor and have a good game. The next 3 or 4 that come off the bench to spell them could be the difference in the game.
Yep. I think those are all good notes. And I think the last thing, whether it's men's, women's basketball, I think you got to hit your free throws. And, most of the teams below 78%, which can get you far, but they got to be hitting. You would like to, as a team, hit above 80%, 85% in the tournament if possible. Because this game is I think the line is at 1.5 points. That's going to win or lose you the game. A lot of these closely contested games, it's going to be at the line. So you would like, if they hit below 75%, 70% tomorrow, I guarantee you they will lose that line. So they got to hit consistently at the free throw line.
That has been a consistent thorn for both men's and women's basketball teams at Florida State. Yeah. Even on Coach Ham's team, if you look at it, they were below 80%. And how many games have we watched where they're missing those foul shots at the end that could seal the game? And I don't know. Maybe Florida State needs to bring
it's not just Florida. I think it's not just Florida State, though. You see a lot of it. It feels like it's just your team, but a lot of players just individually still struggle with free throws.
I know it's a boring thing to practice. I know it's a boring thing, but it makes such a difference in the end. It makes such a difference in the end. Now, here's one last key to victory in this game against Missouri State. Abby Jackson, that's their star. Abby Jackson averaging 13 points and 7 boards. 13 and 7. She can't, if she gets more than that, we're gonna struggle. We're gonna struggle. Mm-hmm. So keeping her off the board there, and not being around the net is going to be one of the keys.
Yep.
And I don't know who's going to draw that assignment, but I may have to throw a couple people at her. But I think if we take her out of the game, sometimes if you take one person out of the game. Now, back in my day, I coached ladies basketball. And I remember one game we had, and I knew there was this, I had scouted this one lady, one girl who was really good. And all I did is I took one of our top athletes, and I'm going to mention her name, Jackie Sir. I said, stay with this girl, shadow her everywhere we go. We played a zone. She took her out of the game. Their coach was annoyed and frustrated because she couldn't even get the ball in her hands. And guess who wins that game?
Yeah, but I don't think that's the difference here. She's once again a do-it-all, but they have 4 players that are averaging 11 points per game. So I think they have more threats on the court at one time than Florida State does. Florida State goes a little bit deeper, but I think, like you said, if you shut Jackson down, they can go to Calip, they can go to Franklin, they can go to, they can go a bunch of different ways. So I think that's really they are a little bit less deep, but they have more playmakers on the court in terms of production.
And I don't think they have a big, call it a big person presence underneath either. So I think both teams are matched up in terms of size. I don't think there's one dominant person underneath, like sometimes you used to find with UConn ladies and stuff like that. I don't think either team has that.
Yeah, and I don't think that this is going to be a huge 3-point battle. So I think it's really going to be, can Florida State, find added production from their bench and consistent? Can someone step up, and then can they contain the scoring of these four starters from Missouri State? I think it'll be a great game, and it may come down to that free throw line. Like I said, the spread's at 1.5 points right now. It should be a great game, and Missouri State's a great team, so I don't think it's going to be like an upset if Florida State were to lose this game. But I think it should just be overall.
Who's your pick? Who's your pick?
I think based on the last couple of games and who's hottest coming in, I'm probably going to go with Missouri State.
Okay, I'm gonna go against y'all now. I'm gonna go with the Lady Noles. I believe because of their senior leadership. I believe because of their experience, and they can go deep. They can go deep into the bench. I don't think they're gonna go deep as they did. But I'm going to go with the Lady Noles by 3.
Yeah, I'll go Missouri State. Plus, I'll take the 1.5. I think they're getting for this.
You're going to get a lot of bad comments from our viewers. You're going to get the bad comments, KB. All right.
I'll take it.
Hey, listen. And when we beat Missouri State, Coach Sue, we're going to go ahead and we're going to be listed against Ohio State on Saturday. Number 6, Ohio State. So I'm all in. I can't wait to watch the game. It's going to be a great game, and I hope all our Noles fans, win or lose, will support our women's athletics, because we've got great women's athletics in all areas: track and field, soccer. Has anybody realized how many times we go to the finals in soccer and win the soccer national championship? Softball. Who's in the national championship all the time? World Series. Come on, let's give them their dues that they deserve.
Yep. All right, so tune in tomorrow at 9:00 on ESPN2. You can watch that game. Awesome. Well, I think that wraps up the breakdown we want to do of this matchup. This exciting matchup for the tournament. And then we have no men's game to talk about, so that makes it easy. Is there anything else you want to cover on this episode?
Yeah, I've got one quick update. We did it earlier in the week. I lose track of time. On football. Of course, it's spring break for the football team. Everybody's off campus at this point, or having their fun or whatever they're doing. Unfortunately, transfer wide receiver Winston Wright was involved in a very serious car accident.
Mm-hmm.
I saw a picture of it. I don't know if we have a copy of that to put up. Yeah, there it is.
Yeah, scary.
Now that is scary.
It's scary.
How people, and they all did. Winston Wright walked away from that. He's our transfer in from West Virginia, who was counted on being the number 1 receiver in our receiver room and probably punt returner. But that's beyond the fact.
Yeah,
How people walked away from this vehicular accident is unknown to me. Now, they cut people out of this accident.
Everyone, yeah.
He was taken to the hospital along with everyone else. No one now, let me say this before I say anything else, because I don't want to start any rumors. I don't want any speculation. Very little information has come out on this accident, except that Winston Wright was taken to the hospital, that he had some kind of a leg injury of sorts. I'm not going to speculate what that was, and that potentially he had surgery on Monday or Tuesday. This is Wednesday, so he had surgery. I don't know about your sources. The sources I look at, I haven't seen anything else come out since this story broke. And I have not seen anything from Florida State out of their media office at all, which I find, I don't know, a little surprising, unless they're playing the personal privacy thing here. But I'm sure Seminole fans would love to know how Winston Wright's doing. And that is our concern, not about the football, but how is Winston Wright himself and his family doing at this point? Yeah. I pushed out a couple of notes to sources, have not heard anything back. And, I don't have anything else. That one person was rumoring that he had maybe a broken leg or a broken bone, but that could have been a fracture of some sort. We don't know anything. So Winston Wright, we hope you're doing well. We wish your family well and you well. And beyond any sports, we wish you well, and we're glad you came out of that accident. Unbelievable crash here. There's no wrongdoing. We haven't heard anything about wrongdoing on the. He was a passenger in the car. We haven't heard anything else, and we're not going to start rumors here.
Yeah, no, from what I've been hearing, like you said, it's all kind of speculation at this point because he's not confirmed. Winston hasn't confirmed anything like that. And that's his privacy. It's his medical condition, stuff like that. Some people are saying broken leg, but I think it's good to just, and Mike Norvell likes to keep injuries in house for the most part and doesn't like to, talk on them unless it's pretty obvious or on the field injury, stuff like that. But yeah, I would not expect him, to really contribute, if at all, until the second half of the year. Let it heal up. Hopefully, if he wants it, he can get a medical red shirt.
Right, because he has 2 years. He has 2 years.
Yeah, and maybe he could qualify. I would hope he could qualify for a medical red shirt because he was looking at someone who he was coming to Florida State to trampoline into an NFL spot. So hopefully he can get that. But with HIPAA, we're probably not going to find out until he wants it to be found out, which, we have to respect that. And hopefully, like you said, it's all about his health. And hopefully, we can give him the medical resources at Florida State and, they're supporting him as they need to in his rehab. So, yep, we wish him the best there and everyone else.
Shout out to Winston and his family. And we hope you're doing well. Our thoughts or prayers are with you all.
Absolutely. So, anything else that you want to? I know we'll be discussing. There's some things rumored about new NIL programs at Florida State that we'll discuss in future episodes. So, stay tuned for maybe some pop-up episodes or update episodes that may be coming down the line. I think we're looking to confirm some things before we drop anything around that. But that's something I'm excited to discuss about. Some future exciting maybe fan engagement activities where we can be involved. And anything else you wanted to talk about before we let everyone go?
I think that's it. There's a lot going on. The team will be back in, and of course that's always exciting. But I want the fans to know we are going to be covering our Lady Noles. They're just as important to us as the men Noles, and we love Florida State, and we're going to cover them all the way down the line.
Awesome. Well, yeah. Thanks, everyone, for taking the time to join us. Like I said, watch Lady Noles, 9 p.m. ESPN on Thursday. And, go Noles, and we'll see you on the next episode.
And thanks to our new sponsor, Coasties.
Yes, Coasties on the move. Check them out. In the military, looking to move, rent, or sell, or even buy. Check them out. Thanks a lot. Take care, everyone, and have a great rest of your evening.
Bye-bye.